Good evening. Can we please call the meeting to order and rise to salute the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call.
Mayor Elliott,
Here.
Mr. Gendron, Mr. Leary,
Here.
Ms. Martin,
Here.
Ms. Rosikowicz,
Here.
Ms. Scott,
Here.
Mr. Conway.
Here.
6 present, 1 absent.
6 present, 1 absent. If it's okay with the committee, I'd just like to read a communication received today from School Committeeman Steve Gendron. No objection. Jean, can you please forward this memo on to the mayor and ask that I read it at today's meeting? Dear colleagues, I apologize for my absence at this meeting this evening. I am presently on a business trip that could not be avoided. I don't expect this to be a regular occurrence. I look forward to beginning subcommittee work with you next week. Sincerely, Steve Gendron. So, motion to accept this and place on file by Mr. Conway, seconded by Ms. Rosikowicz. All those in favor signify by saying aye, and the opposed, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for the regularly scheduled school committee meeting of Wednesday, December 18th. Motion by Mr. Leary, seconded by Ms. Martin, to accept and place on file. All those in favor signify by saying aye. And the opposed, motion carries. Second set of minutes, approval for minutes of the inauguration exercises on Monday, January 6th, 2014. Entertain a motion to accept and place on file by Ms. Martin, second by Ms. Rosikowicz. All those in favor signify by saying aye. And the opposed, motion carries. Any questions on those minutes? No? Okay. Next item on the agenda, item number 5, under permission to enter. Permission to enter January 15th, 2014. Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mayor Elliott. To the Tsongas Center at UMass Lowell in the amount of $17,081 to provide for the use of the Tsongas Center, including all necessary backstage areas, dressing rooms, and production areas for the Lowell High School graduation to be held Wednesday, June 4th, 2014. Funding will be provided by the Lowell High School budget, school-based allocation. To the Clarity Consulting Partners in the amount of $17,000 to provide consulting services to assist Lowell High School in reworking the Career Pathways program by evaluating current pathways, determining best practices for pathways, and working with Lowell High School leadership to develop, produce, and disseminate new pathway plans. To E-Rate Exchange, LLC, in the amount of $15,450 to provide planning, management, and administration of the E-Rate application process for Priority 1 and Priority 2 services for the upcoming E-Rate funding year 2014. Funding provided by the FY14 budget, technology contracted services.
On the communication, Mr. Conway.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first one, excuse me, the Lowell High School graduation, $17,081. In the last few years, Mr. Mayor, I have seen a significant increase, and I think, to be quite frank with you, I think it's ridiculous that we're paying $17,000. Over $17,000 for graduation for our own kids in our own school. And, you know, when you look back and you see that this particular facility was given to the university for $1, and they're turning around and they're charging us $17,000, I really think that we need to do something about this. We need to sit down and we need to discuss this with the university. And I know the superintendent, I think, has made an attempt before. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the superintendent, Madam Superintendent, you met with the officials at the university, and what was the result of that conversation?
Madam Superintendent?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That the costs were flat rate. They were designed by a certain formula depending on what the graduation usage is. As you all know, we have the Carney Medalist Award, so we do use an extra area. And so this is the going rate for the high schools in the area, and it is the contracted rate of services. And that's what I have learned through my conversations with university staff.
Well, I really think that perhaps what we could do, Mr. Mayor, is that the school personnel, Central, could perhaps sit down with individuals from, should we say, the city side, maybe the city manager, and see if, see if a combination of the two we could sit down and try to figure this out with the university and to make it certainly a more appropriate cost. It was my understanding that in the past, it was said, well, we treat everybody the same. Well, to be quite frank with you, Tewksbury or Chelmsford or Billerica or any of these other places, they didn't give this facility to the city of Lowell, to the university for $1. And I think that perhaps Madam Superintendent could meet with the city officials and see if we can come up with some type of plan, a meeting with the Chancellor and his administration, to see if we can turn this around to something that's a little bit more reasonable. This $17,000 comes directly out of the Lowell High School budget. Is that correct, Madam Superintendent?
Yes, Mr. Conway.
Okay, thank you. I thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so entertain a motion to, like I said, did you want to make a motion, Mr. Conway, to refer this item to the superintendent, or it's coming from the superintendent to meet with the city manager before
Correct.
approving this, or in addition to?
In addition to.
Okay, so I will entertain a motion to approve this request along with the
Because it's
caveat to, or amendment to have the superintendent meet with the city manager to see if this rate can be reduced.
Because it's my understanding that we have to vote on this tonight to make sure that it's set for the following year. Is that correct?
Mr. Lang?
Thanks. Yes, this contract is actually for this coming graduation in June.
Okay.
So we do need the committee to vote so that we can lock in that date and enter into an agreement with UMass. If you voted to allow that tonight, we can do that and still have the follow-up conversation about fees to see if there's anything that can be
Yeah,
done.
I think that's the smartest thing at this point, because obviously we're not going to tie up graduation because of it, but I think that we need to discuss this going forward. Thank you.
Motion by Mr. Conway, seconded by Ms. Martin. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Ms. Rosikowicz, did you want to comment? Okay, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Under memorials item, I'm sorry, roll call. Yeah, motion by Counselor, almost. Motion by Mr. Conway, seconded by Ms. Martin on this motion. Roll call.
Mayor Elliott?
Yes.
Mr. Gendron? Mr. Leary?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Rosikowicz?
Yes.
Ms. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
6 yeas, 1 absent, approved.
Motion carries. Under next item, memorials. There is a request from a moment of silence for Daniel McBride, the father of Stocklosa Middle School instructional specialist Linda Willis. Will you please rise, darken chambers in a moment of silence. Thank you. Item number 7, under unfinished business, establishment of the Lowell School Committee Subcommittees 2014 to 2015, appointed by myself, Mayor Rodney Elliott. It was my intent to have the subcommittees presented tonight. I've been working on them and speaking with members. I got sidetracked a little bit this week with some other items, so I fully intend to have those subcommittees to the committee for the next meeting, or even before then. So my apologies for not getting them at this meeting, but I assure you will have them very soon and at the next meeting. So motion to defer this item to the next meeting by Ms. Ross-Sikowitz, seconded by Ms. Martin. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. And the opposed, motion carries. Item number 8, updated superintendent district goals. Madam Superintendent?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. In December, we established goals for the district, and feedback was given by this committee. I went back in, and in your document, I have added those changes in red for your review. And so if we could just kind of go through the document, I ask you to turn to page 2. So in the first goal, we want to make clarity around how the work we're doing with assistant principals, assistant superintendents, and principals are really clear. And so I have included in our reports tonight a long-range plan of what professional learning is going to look for the year, so we can look at what people are learning and the timelines that are involved in that, so it's more specific. I also have added to this document 2 times during the year through the curriculum subcommittee meeting, we're looking at data. So we're looking at data. It will be, as soon as we're up and running, the winter data, and then at the end of the year data. So we're checking that data as we go, so there's more clarity around the progress as the year goes. And just number 6, in my work in this particular year, I'm finding that I am spending a lot of time, a lot of strategic work in the level 3 schools. So I'm doing lots more drop-bys, progress and feedback to the principals in those buildings in collaboration with the curriculum office that is working tirelessly to make sure that we're making changes in those schools that they, from the level 3 strategic planning. So those are the changes in that particular area. If you have questions as we go, I welcome them, but if not, I will proceed. If you go to...
Madam Superintendent, could I ask you a question? I know
Yes.
I'm new, and the committee's probably heard this, but how many level 3 schools are there in the district?
I believe there are 12. Is that correct, Ms. Abrams? Yes, I believe there are 12. And within the 12, there are 3 that are maybe a point away from moving up to level 2. There are others in the middle. And we're working really strategically, Mr. Mayor, is with the level 3 schools that are at the lower percentiles. We have outside consultants, inside work, and we really have a plan that we've worked on over time. So we're looking very carefully at progress, data as we go, but at this particular point, the lowest level 3 schools, there are 6 schools that we really have a targeted focus on how we're raising those scores in those particular buildings.
And these goals are also address some of the issues that you are finding or you're trying to address in those particular schools?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. Other questions? Okay. Madam Superintendent?
Thank you. The next goal is getting more defined in the data that you will see as baseline data. So we're looking at the educator evaluation piece. We have collected all the goals. We are today, the 15th, we have reported on the formative assessments for non-professional status staff, so we're going through the procedure. The committee will find this year, you will see at the end of the year, the outcomes, where the people lie as far as proficient, advanced, exemplary. So you'll see that data as they go. I'm also putting in here that we could report out on a quarterly basis, and I'm going to just put these on agendas so they just come up, that we have it, where people are in the process. So how many percentage, 100% of people have given their goals in. So we'll give you a report out so you know as we are evolving how that happens. So you will see, because it's public information, the data that's collected about our entire staff, that will be at the end of the EPIMS process, because that's public information that's released now at this particular point by the state. So that's part of the increased information in that particular goal.
Ms. Martin?
Thank you very much. Just a quick question on that one. So as we're looking at this over the course of the year, I absolutely agree that getting the kind of summative data at the end will be very helpful. But if we're looking at getting this on a regular basis, I'd request that it go through the Personnel Subcommittee just as a venue to get the information out there. Would you anticipate that we'd be looking at like a monthly report, or would you be going more kind of, like an event?
Thank you, Ms. Martin. The dates are, there's an August 15th date for non-professional status. There's also an April 15th date, and then there's a May 15th, and then there's a whole process for anybody on improvement plans. So we would know who we're working with by standard, by proficiency level later in the year. So we will not have that information until it's submitted. And so the reporting systems internally will have these evaluations done. When they're in fact mandated to be put into the EPIM system where we collect it, is usually at the end of the school year. It has to be submitted by June. So unless the timelines for the state, that's how it ran last year. I've seen no other indication that they're collecting it earlier. But as soon as we have the information, we can keep everybody here aware of when it's happening. Last year, it was at the end of the year where we put in the data for 50% of the staff. That seems to be the case now, but we would have the data after April 15th. We'll have some of the information.
I would actually just recommend, and I know, as we move forward and the committees get formed, it might make this easy, but I would like to request that the Personnel Subcommittee be getting a monthly update on the actual progress of implementation, recognizing that the data will come in these kind of 3 timelines, but I think it would be helpful if it's just a standing agenda item that we've talked a great deal about how important it is, the implementation of this across our district. And I think that if we could be getting a regular monthly update on exactly where we are in the process, challenges we're facing. What I'd like to avoid is, when we're meeting in June and we are discussing major challenges that could have been avoided if we know a little bit earlier, we may be able to, fend off some of those. And I think it would be helpful for the committee as a whole to be getting those reports on a regular basis. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Madam Superintendent?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The committee also asked for more information on the new goal, which is to improve communication systems and parent involvement and outreach. So I am looking to provide 10% increase throughout the year in parent community business partner communication as provided by the school and district by district-wide forums. The district-wide forums where I'm going to work on first, because we have a good deal of events going on at schools, but really I know the committee's intention was for us to build the district-wide forums, so to get an increase. We do have some professional learning going on through special education, but I'm going to be building professional learnings. I'm going to I'll talk a little bit about the plan. For the next meeting, I will have a plan of how we're going to include parents in a more visible way. That's one piece of information.
Just, Mayor, if I could just ask a quick question.
Mr.
Just
Leary?
to follow up briefly on, I know there's a motion out there regarding the portal, bringing it K through 8 as part of the outreach. I just kind of not tonight, but if we could get an update on that at the next meeting, because it's something that's been sitting there for quite some time.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Ross Sigwards?
Thank you very much. This particular piece of the set of goals actually rather intrigued me in that I'm curious if there are benchmarks that have already been established in terms of what your outreach is throughout the district. Is it, 10,000 instances or 10,000 incidents of outreach? Are you increasing that by 10%, or is it 20,000? The frequency. I mean, I'm just curious as to how we arrive at a 10% increase over the prior year.
The interesting part, as far as district-wide professional, it's not even professional development, parent involvement type pieces. For instance, the things that we have every year, for instance, my advisory board, see how that continues, because that will continue. We have attendance data on the college fair, things that we have that are district-wide, things that we're doing every year. The volunteer evening, when we had volunteers last year, how many people we welcomed to that. So I could compare it as a baseline to the standing, and there will be some new ones which I won't have comparative data. So as I'm looking towards reestablishing a citywide type of group, which it be, whether it's the supervisory board or it's the citywide parent council, to reestablish that, I'm going to begin. I'll have to give you monthly progress on that for this particular year, because I don't have annual to annual, but there are some, there is a summer fair for parents, which we get so many people that we run every year. I would give you information to see if we just get more people involved. I'm really trying to diversify the kind of communication to parents, multi-language responses and whatnot. So those are all the pieces that we're looking at. But if you would like me to get a baseline of these events, I will get that for the next meeting so you can look at those.
Ms. Rosikowicz?
I just wanted to add one further piece to that. I mean, we've developed this fantastic new website, and that yields a great deal of data that we can utilize in order to formulate strategies in outreach. You could even point to downloads, the number of downloads per, on different forums on the website, the different topics that people are interested in, key terms that people are searching on the internet. I think those are really important, informative pieces that really should be incorporated into that whole piece. Thank you.
Further discussion? Madam Superintendent, could I just ask a question? Under action steps, I think the third bullet point is to form a committee and petition diverse members that represent a diverse population of Lowell students to assist in planning. It seems like a great idea. How and where do you feel you'll be soliciting these members to populate that committee?
Honestly, Mr. Mayor, what I've been doing is to ask the principals for their most involved parents to come forward from all levels of the organization, from elementary, middle, and I'm trying to start a smaller group. I began this last year where I did have a much more diversified group at the beginning of the year when I started the superintendent advisory board, but I did not maintain the diversity quotient in that group, in all honesty. So I'm really going to try to go to some long-term contributors to get the group started. And try and figure that out. To be honest, another strategy that has always worked is to have some separate meetings with a diverse community. So in working with Mr. Mitchell from thank you very much. I forgot the name of it. Just with the newcomer parents, we're going to be meeting with Derek Mitchell for the newcomer parents that are now coming from Iraq and from countries in Africa. And so we're going to try and just stimulate people from the community. I have worked with some people from the CMAA to just see if they can make some appointments, because we try so much to involve our entire community in the work, and it has been, I'm going to say, it's a challenge wherever I have worked, and it's something that I really think we could do a better job at. So I'm going to work with community leaders, Mr. Mayor, to try and see if there were key people who could come, even if it's the, I just really would like them to have children in the school system and not just be officials of the particular agencies. So that's the beginning of the work, to try and get even a core group, even if I have a couple of members from each of our largest diverse communities. That would be the starting point, because this committee's talked quite a bit about diversifying our workforce and our parent participation, and that's going to take a lot of work. So I will keep you posted, but I've already been in touch with the CMAA. I've already been in touch with actually one of the churches looking for a group of Latinos and different people from the Portuguese community. So I'm just trying to build that, and I wish myself luck, to be honest, because it is a challenge. People are very busy, and I understand that.
No, I agree. I think your explanation is, it hits the nail right on the head, not only on just in the community at large. Getting people involved is how it's going to make it work, whether it's in our schools or whether it's community policing, and getting parents and residents engaged is important. So if there's something that you feel we can do to reach out to them, and I agree, sometimes it's nice to have leaders of organizations to participate, but you really need to hear and reach out to others that do have an interest to get involved. So if you feel, and we can discuss this further, if there's something that we can do on the city council side with the city manager, I think that makes all the sense, and it all falls in together. So thank you for that explanation.
The important bullet that I have found in the Lowell Public Schools before I've been working here has always been very determined to do a parent survey in the fall, and I'm sure every parent sitting here in front of me has the parent survey. But I'm questioning how we use that information. So Title I survey goes out. The response rate of the Title I survey through the parent liaisons is about 49%. So we get about 6,000, which is huge for a response for a survey. And parents tell us what they think we should be working on. And so I really want to look at that with parents to say, where are we going to prioritize the work as I was reviewing the results, because it is all put into place. There are different needs, but I'm really going to look at the academic needs for the first round. People want to know how to teach their kids math. That's part of the thing. So I'm really going to take the Title I survey and look at that, and I actually am going to refer, looking at that Title I survey, to the curriculum subcommittee, because it's really important to kind of see what parents are saying. It is a very nice baseline, and like I said, we collect the data. It's a compliance piece, but I'm going to really use that as a signature document. I want to increase that by 5%. Hopefully that would be enough, but really using it. So beyond this is going to be for the next meeting, a parent involvement plan. And I'm going to be asking some of the parents here present for some assistance in ideas to build it. But I'm going to use that because we have a lot of information, and overwhelmingly, the parents believe in the school system and they want more information, and they're the ones we want to bring it to. So I'm going to use that, but I'd like you to see it as a first kind of baseline. What we're looking at and what kind of plan evolves from it. And then again, we'll look at those surveys, just trends. I will give you a plan, a more specific plan. As for the rest of the document, the next piece that was asked for upgrades was Goal 5 in the Curriculum Student Achievement Goal, where the committee asked for more specific data to make sure we're making overall gains. And so if you look at page 6 of this document, number 4, monitor student growth performance as indicated by quarterly formative assessment data for the purpose of meeting state accountability targets. And we are going to be looking at that, at the data, the formative data, as I said earlier, in the mid-year and at the end of the year. But number 5 is asking for those particular numbers. So, number 5, improve student achievement in grades 5, 7, and 10, which we find were places that needed the most need in mathematics, in order to meet the state accountability targets below. Grade 5 CPI will move from 67.6% to 73.9% within the next year. Grade 7 CPI will move from 63.1 to 73.9. Grade 8 CPI will move from 83.3 to 86.2. In grade 5, growth percentile, which was 41, 7 was 42, will move up to 51, which is the anticipated growth to 50% for our students. So those are more specific numbers that were requested when Ms. Martin reported out the last time in that particular area.
Ms. Martin, question?
Thank you very much. And I just wanted to comment that I appreciate this addition particularly. Obviously, the 5, 7, 10 mathematics scores were something that gave our committee and the administration, I know, great pause in our last, when we were reviewing those results. And I think that these are, this is a dead-on goal, exactly, hardcore, concrete numbers that we'll be able to make a very real comparison to. This is obviously one of those situations that lends itself to that kind of, concrete, number-based kind of goal. But I do think this is ambitious, and it's exactly what we need. This kind of performance is exactly what we're going to need to see in this next school year. So thank you very much.
And as for the rest of the report, there were no changes because those were areas where the committee did not ask for. They thought that the baseline was good enough. So I give that to you as a report of progress.
Okay, further discussion on the report? I'll entertain a motion to accept the report and place on file by Ms. Scott, seconded by Ms. Rosikowicz. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. In the opposed, motion carries. Reports of the superintendent. Notice of dedication ceremony, John F. Beaton. Madam Superintendent?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. On March 6th of 2013, it was voted to display a plaque at the gymnasium Lowell High School in honor of John F. Beaton, varsity cheerleading coach. I just wanted to make the committee aware that the Beaton family has selected Thursday, February 13th, 2014 at 5 o'clock to have a dedication ceremony. All invited to the dedication ceremony at Lowell High School in the gymnasium second floor. And we will be working with the family and staff, but we welcome you, and we will, of course, send you a reminder as it gets closer.
Questions? Motion to accept the report as a report of progress by Mr. Conway, seconded by Mr. Leary. All those in favor signify by saying aye. And the opposed, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is a Knowledge Bowl update. Madam Superintendent?
Yes, thank you. This is your annual report of the upcoming Knowledge Bowl. You know that we're building to the March finals. These are the dates. I do welcome each member of this school committee to serve as judges, and if you want to do so, you just can let Ms. Cormier know. These are the dates that are coming up, and just to make you aware of our contest.
Questions from the committee? Ms. Rosikowicz?
I just had one question. So last year, we had teams in from outlying towns. Is that not the case this year?
Yeah,
Am I misreading this?
No, that's the June contest. We will be continuing that tradition. There'll also be the math contest that happens later in the year, and then we are going to have the Kendall Wallace Knowledge Bowl, which were the outside towns that will be coming in, and we'll give you more information on that as we get confirmation, but we will continue that tradition also.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Further discussion. Motion to accept report as a report of progress by Mr. Leary, seconded by Ms. Martin. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. And the opposed, motion carries. Another report on the superintendent. LPS Unified Plan for Leadership and Development. Madam Superintendent?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This report is to keep this committee aware of the work that we're doing with developing our leaders as far as preparation now and in the future. This also answers what's going on with the new position you created, which was, with your support, the Leadership Support and Development Coordinator. So this tells how we're building the leadership of our principals that meet the goals of the district. And if you look and see, we have continued the professional development. We focused in three main areas this entire year. We have been doing instructional rounds where principals have been looking at their own work and visiting each other's schools to look at effective practice as part of it. We have been looking at web-based resources, so principals have been looking at data and research. And we also have been making sure that the data systems, when we're looking at data, how we're looking at data, is consistent across the district. Part of the evaluation process that is really important is that we have equity across the district. The supervision evaluation is fair and just across the system. And so we needed to make sure our principals were very much in sync as far as what proficiency is in the standards that we're judging. And that's the work we've been doing this year. So that is looking at that particular piece. In places where we have new principals or principals that have some growth to occur, there's one-on-one coaching where we are meeting with the coach on supervision evaluation, in addition to my supervision and evaluation and my observations that happen across town all the time. So just so you can see the work that has occurred and the future work that will be going, there is an Appendix A, which is attached to this report, which talks about what has gone on for professional learning with our principals, assistant principals, and central office leaders. And so from all of I'm not going to read all of them to you, thankfully, but they're from summer leadership. But really the focus has been, what is supervision evaluation? How to use a teach point instrument? What is proficiency? And how do we help our teachers? How do we measure it? And what happens when people are in need of improvement and beyond? So this is an outline of all that we've occurred thus far, actual agenda items, but also what we intend to be using to lead our leaders to the best supervision evaluation practices. So that's the work that has been going on this year and what we're anticipating for the future. I welcome any questions or comments you may have.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Discussion? Entertain a motion to accept the report as a report of progress by Ms. Martin, seconded by Ms. Ross-Sikowitz. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the agenda under new business, item number 12, permission to post Lowell Adult Education Center positions. There are 3 positions. We will take these 3 items up separately. The first position is testing facilitator and ADA liaison. I'll entertain a motion entertain a motion by Ms. Ross-Sikowitz, seconded by Ms. Scott. All those in favor, please signify. Roll call.
Mayor Elliott,
Yes.
Mr. Gendron, Mr. Leary,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Ms. Ross-Sikowicz,
Yes.
Ms. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Conway.
Yes.
6 yeas, 1 absent, approved.
Sorry, Madam Superintendent, did you want to speak on that first? I know you want to speak on all 3 of these. Do you want to speak on the testing facility and ADA liaison?
In the adult education program, there have been many new testing requirements. The GED test is changed, and so in that adaptation, the coordinator, Ms. McKiernan from Adult Education, has asked for these particular positions. They, in some cases, are a transition from the old to the new, just so we can make sure that we give the services as mandated for the new testing. So that's what basically these positions are. The first one is that facilitator and the ADA liaison, who will work with community services and make sure there's access in the testing. The second position is a student facilitator position that is happening, it's expanding a 40-week position to a 52-week position because that liaison piece needs to be all year, because adult education is actually open all year. So that was the second piece. This person will work with adult learners, goal setting, mandated assessments, and also helping with the new high school equivalency test. So they'll be working directly with students to do that work. The third position is an ESOL registrar. And so again, that has been a position that has been in our budget for 40-week position, but since we do have a full-year program, the summer programs and whatnot, this has been expanded, so the job posting has changed to be able to meet those needs. So I think a lot of it's the transition and also just changing the positions so that they will meet the needs of this program as it amends.
Okay. So we had a roll call on the first one. Why don't we move right into, yes, we'll move into entertain a motion for the next one, which is student facilitator, motion to post. Entertain a motion by Mr. Conway, seconded by Mr. Leary. On the motion, Mr. Conway?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, to the superintendent. Excuse me, the introductory sentence up here, it says these positions are grant-funded and do not impact the local budget. Is this something, how long is this grant for? And is it for the three positions?
Yes, the grants in adult education are renewed. I am not sure exactly where we are in the cycle. I'll ask Ms. Durkin if she does know that, what particular year we're in this particular. It's a large grant over a number of years, but the change in these positions are definitely included in that grant piece that already exists in the district. I don't know if you know.
The question I have here is if this is, if it's grant funded, and if something happens to the grant, whether the grant is cut back and so forth, what happens to these positions? Is this something the system has to, the school system has to pick up?
No, in job descriptions of any other grant funded job description, there usually is a line that states that as long as the grant is funded, then in fact we do
Okay, so
continue.
we
it is
don't.
under the grants.
Okay, so we won't own these if something happens then?
No. At
Okay.
this moment in time, it's what the director, the coordinator of the program thinks is the best decision for the future, but everything that is grant funded is only as long as that grant is part of our system.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Conway. Further discussion? Roll call.
Mayor Elliott,
Yes.
Mr. Gendron, Mr. Leary,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Ms. Ross Sikowicz,
Yes.
Ms. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Conway.
Yes.
6 yeas, 1 absent, approved.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next item is, next position is ESOL registrar. Entertain a motion to post this position as well by Ms. Ross Sikowicz, seconded by Ms. Scott. Discussion on the motion? Roll call.
Mayor Elliott,
Yes.
Mr. Gendron, Mr. Leary,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Ms. Ross Sikowicz,
Yes.
Ms. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Conway.
Yes.
6 yeas, 1 absent, approved.
Now I will entertain a motion to accept the report as a report of progress by Ms. Scott, seconded by Mr. Leary. All those in favor signify by saying aye. The opposed? Motion carries. Item number 13, vote to authorize MSBA Statement of Interest for the Green Elms Elementary School under the Accelerated Report Program. I will now read the vote, but members can see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 6 items under MSBA. I will read the vote once. It's the same language that is read for all of the other items. Vote, number 1, Green Elm School, Elementary School, having convened an open meeting on Wednesday, January 15th, 2014, prior to the closing date, the school committee of the City of Lowell in accordance with its charter, bylaws, and ordinances, has voted to authorize the superintendent to submit to the Massachusetts School Building Authority the statement of interest form dated January 14, 2014 for the Green Elms Elementary School located at 149 L Street, which describes and explains the following deficiencies and the priority categories for an application may be submitted to the Mass School Building Authority in the future under Priority 5, replacement, renovation, and modernization of the school facility systems, schools such as roofs, windows, boilers, heating, and ventilation systems to increase energy conservation and decrease energy-related costs in a school facility pertaining to the deficiencies in the roof and HVA system, boilers, and hereby further specifically acknowledges that by submitting this statement of interest form, the Massachusetts School Building Authority in no way guarantees the acceptance of the approval of an application, the awarding of a grant, or any other funding commitment from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, or commits the city, town, regional school district to filing an application for the funding with the Massachusetts School Building Authority. Discussion on the item. I'll entertain a motion to approve by Mr. Leary, seconded by Mr. Conway. Discussion? Roll call.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Mr. Gendron. Mr. Leary.
Yes.
Ms. Martin.
Yes.
Ms. Rosikowicz. Ms. Scott.
Yes.
Mr. Conway.
Yes.
6 yeas, 1 absent, approved.
Thank you. Item number 14, vote to authorize the MSBA Statement of Interest for the Lincoln Elementary School under the Accelerated Report Program. Entertain a motion to approve by Mr. Conway, seconded by Mr. Leary. Roll call.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Mr. Gendron. Mr. Leary.
Yes.
Ms. Martin.
Yes.
Ms. Rosikowicz.
Yes.
Ms. Scott.
Yes.
Mr. Conway.
Yes.
6 yeas, 1 absent, approved.
Next item, number 15, vote authorizing the MSBA Statement of Interest for the McAvenue Elementary School under the Accelerated Report Program. Entertain a motion to approve by Ms. Martin, seconded by Ms. Rosikowicz. Discussion? Roll call.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Mr. Gendron. Mr. Leary.
Yes.
Ms. Martin.
Yes.
Ms. Rosikowicz.
Yes.
Ms. Scott.
Yes.
Mr. Conway.
Yes.
6 yeas, 1 absent, approved.
Item number 16, vote authorize MSBA Statement of Interest for the Merkland Elementary School under the Accelerated Program. Motion to approve by Ms. Rosikowicz, second by Ms. Scott. Discussion? Roll call.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Mr. Gendron. Mr. Leary.
Yes.
Ms. Martin.
Yes.
Ms. Rosikowicz.
Yes.
Ms. Scott.
Yes.
Mr. Conway.
Yes.
6 yeas, 1 absent, approved.
Item number 17, vote authorize MSBA Statement of Interest for the Butler Middle School under the Accelerated Report Program. Motion to approve by Ms. Scott, seconded by Mr. Conway. Roll call?
Mayor Elliott.
Yes?
Mr. Gendron. Mr. Leary.
Yes.
Ms. Martin.
Yes.
Ms. Rosikowicz.
Yes.
Ms. Scott.
Yes.
Mr. Conway.
Yes.
6 yeas, 1 absent, approved.
Item number 18, vote authorize MSBA Statement of Interest for the Pine Arts Magnet School under the Accelerated Program. Motion to approve by Ms. Rosikowicz, second by Ms. Martin. Discussion? Roll call.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes?
Mr. Gendron. Mr. Leary.
Yes.
Ms. Martin.
Yes.
Ms. Rosikowicz.
Yes.
Ms. Scott.
Yes.
Mr. Conway.
Yes.
6 yeas, 1 absent, approved.
Okay. Moving on to item number 19, permission to establish a new budget line item titled Special Education for Contracted Services. Madam Superintendent?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Lang has written a report, there's a special need of changing the services within the 2300 series of line items. I'm going to ask Mr. Lang to report on that, the difference, and why we have to move funds.
Thank you. I'm requesting actually just a new line item be established under special education on the budget. Right now, we have a salary line item for our special education nurses that we directly employ, but we've had a couple of instances this year where we've had vacancies. A person will be in a position, they'll either take a leave or they'll leave to take another position. And before we can hire a new nurse, with our special education students, we're still obligated to provide a nurse. Instead of having an actual pool, because it's so difficult to get of nurses to pull from, we've had to reach out to agencies who will provide like daily coverage. And I'd like to be able to account for that separately than from the salary line. So basically, within the same budget in special ed, I would just like a new line item for more generalized special ed consulting services and contracting services, and just to move $7,500 from the salary line to that contracted services line for when we actually do engage an agency to come in and to provide those services for us. So I'm requesting the committee first vote to have that new line item, and then obviously make the transfer from the salary account to the contracted account.
Thank you, Mr. Lang. Discussion? Motion to approve by Mr. Leary, second by Ms. Martin. Roll call.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Mr. Gendron. Mr. Leary.
Yes.
Ms. Martin.
Yes.
Ms. Ross Sikowicz.
Yes.
Ms. Scott.
Yes.
Mr. Conway.
Yes.
6 yeas, 1 absent, approved.
Okay, thank you. We now need a motion to accept this as a report of progress by Mr. Conway, second by Mr. Leary. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is to authorize a K-8 student activity fund transfer from the McAuliffe Elementary School. Entertain a motion. I'm sorry, Madam Superintendent?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There is a need to transfer some funds in the student activity account at the McAuliffe School. I will ask Mr. Lang to fill in the details for us.
Thank you. This request comes from us through the McAuliffe School and the McAuliffe School PTO. The school and the PTO both combined use their student activity account to collect and to manage their funding. The PTO at the school over the last year or so took on a special fundraising effort to set aside some money for part of the high school campaign for educational excellence for McAuliffe School students when they come up through the high school and they go on to college. And they've raised $5,000 to do so. So the school, what I'm asking for authorization for is to this isn't a typical expenditure because we're actually giving the money to the Greater Lowell Community Foundation, who will manage it as part of that overall campaign for the high school. So I'd just like there to be a vote of record, having the school committee acknowledge that we're doing that and authorizing it. And then I'll transfer or cut a check from the student activity account to Greater Lowell, and then they'll take custody of that money and manage it as part of the campaign for us.
Ms. Martin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First off, I would make a motion to approve this request, and I would just also like to obviously congratulate the McAuliffe School community on achieving this and establishing this scholarship. And I think it would be nice if we could send them a letter of congratulations from the committee for doing such great work for their students. Thank you.
Okay, motion by Ms. Martin on the transfer, second by Ms. Rosikowicz. Okay, the vote. Okay, roll call.
Mayor Elliott.
Yes.
Mr. Gendron. Mr. Leary.
Yes.
Ms. Martin.
Yes.
Ms. Ross Sikowicz.
Yes.
Ms. Scott.
Yes.
Mr. Conway.
Yes.
6 yeas, 1 absent, approved.
And now we need a motion to accept the report as a report of progress.
So moved.
Mr. Lang, did you have some language to read?
Well, that was the vote I assumed you just took. That just to authorize me to issue that check, but no, just if you place it on file, that'd be fine.
Okay. Okay, we'll entertain a motion to place that on file by Mr. Leary, second by Ms. Ross Sigowitz. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is Under convention, conference requests. Motion Lowell High School Business Professionals of America Club Advisor Jill McNamara, teacher Paul Ware, and 20 student chapter members along with a quarried chaperone to attend the State Leadership Conference on Saturday, March 1st through Monday, March 3rd in Framingham, Massachusetts. The cost of the trip will be paid by the Lowell High School 1826 store, $250 per student. Students will pay $50 for the fundraising. Will take place to defray the student cost bus transportation. Approximately $360 will be paid by the Lowell High School student activities budget. 2 substitute teachers are needed at the cost of $200 to be paid by the Lowell High School individual school funds. Entertain a motion to approve by Ms. Rosikowicz, seconded by Ms. Scott. Roll call.
Mayor Elliott?
Yes.
Mr. Gendron? Mr. Leary?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Ross Sikowicz?
Yes.
Ms. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
6 yeas, 1 absent, approved.
Item number 22. Under professional personnel, members of the United Teachers of Lowell hereby request to donate sick leave days to the following: Kendra Bear, Lowell High School teacher, 10 days. Sonia Cordero, Pine Arts paraprofessional, 1 day. Discussion? Motion to approve by Mr. Conway, seconded by Mr. Leary. Roll call.
Mayor Elliott?
Yes.
Mr. Gendron? Mr. Leary?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Ross Sikowicz?
Yes.
Ms. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
6 yeas, 1 absent, approved.
Having no further business before the committee, I will entertain a motion to adjourn by Ms. Martin, seconded by Ms. Rosikowicz. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. And the opposed, motion carries. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. Have a good night.